As you all know, this is a big fitness channel, so let's get started on the fitness, and we'll start with a bunch of sets in a gym, and we're gonna start doing that now. Let's get pumped up. Don't be scared, this channel still deals with translation, but physical fitness is still a very important thing, more so for people like us who are sitting down like this for almost all the day. And quite frankly, it can be very easy over the days, weeks, months, years, not to get any physical exercise and to start letting our health kind of go sideways or go downhill. So it's a very important thing to keep track of and to try to maintain and try to improve. And this can be very difficult sometimes as a freelancer. So let's get into it. So first of all, it goes without saying, I am not a doctor and I don't pretend to be one. And so everything I'm going to talk about is based on my own personal experience. So you'll notice I won't mention certain things like yoga. And I know a lot of people like yoga and it works wonders for them, and that's great. That's perfect. But I'm going to be relaying my experience, and then you can find whatever equivalent works for you. When I speak to other translators, I speak to other freelancers, I speak to other people who work for themselves or who just work in front of a computer in general, and they'll say, no, I don't have any physical problems, I'm fine. And then we start talking, I'm like, well, you know, who's your doctor? Who's your primary care physician? Stuff like that. And they're like, well, no, I don't have one. I haven't had to see one because I'm doing fine. And this can be very dangerous because you don't know you're doing fine if you haven't seen a doctor in years. So you can't really take stuff like this for granted. Especially if you get to a certain age, like I am, then you really can't take this stuff for granted, and you need to have continuous checkups just to make sure. So first of all, the thing that happened to me, what hit me first was I noticed one day that I started having a pain here, and in fact, then the pain shot through my arm. And this lasted for like a couple days, and I didn't know what was going on. In fact, I was afraid I was maybe having a heart attack or something like that. And it really kind of scared me. So anyway, I go to see the doctor, and the doctor does the x-rays, does everything. And he's like, look, basically what happens is you're hunched over the computer like that all day. It makes your spine, you know, hold up the weight of your head in an awkward way, and basically affects the nerves of your spine here, which can be dangerous in the long term. So I was like, so what should I do? He's like, well, I would tell you not to work like this anymore, but I don't think that's going to happen. So he said, another thing you can do is to build up your shoulder and neck muscles, while in the meantime, trying to have better posture. So that's what I did. And I started working out these neck muscles and my shoulder muscles. And I have to say, it's worked wonders, at least for me. I did that, and then I felt better. After a few months, I started feeling bad again. So I did the exercise again. And I realized that every time I let the exercise lapse, I started getting that pain again. So now I constantly always do regularly exercises here, my shoulder and my neck. I find it quite simple to do. And right now I go to the gym, but even when I don't have a gym, as long as I have weights or something to lift, 2-3 times a week, I do some exercises for my neck and here, and it's fine. And I haven't had any problems since. Now, at the same time, I'm also trying to do a lot less of this. And I try to sit back straight. In fact, it's funny, I was preparing notes to do this, and I was getting ready to do this video, and I switched on YouTube and saw that Adrian Probst had done a video on a standing desk, and it just came out today. And so I think it's very apropos. It's probably because of the new year. Now everyone's, you know, thinking about New Year's resolutions and physical health. And he talks about a standing desk, which is great. And I have something along those lines, which here, if I get a chance, I can show you how it works. Like I mentioned, sometimes I work from an office, and sometimes I work from a coffee shop. But when I work from home, this is where I work from. And it's very minimalist, as you can see, which is exactly how I like it. But this is my desk. And then I have this thing, which I really like because it can automatically turn into a standing desk. And to me, this is perfect because that way I kind of don't need to commit to one or the other, and I get both. It's super convenient. And as you can see, it has different settings, so you can regulate the height if you want. And it's very easy to put up and down, as you can see. I'll link to this in the description below if I can find it. I'm trying to remember where I got it from. But I think something like this is super convenient, so you don't actually have to constantly have a standing desk, but you can have a bit of both. Another thing that I've been trying to do is to track my steps. Most people, if you have a smartphone, it'll track it. Otherwise, you can get one of those Fitbit things or something like that. And I find just the fact that they're being tracked has made me walk a lot more. There are many times when I'll take the stairs, or I'll take an extra trip, or I'll park a bit further away just so I can get more steps in. And I think over the long term, it helps a lot. It helps for weight reduction, and it helps for keeping myself generally fit. Because let's face it, we're working at our computer day in and day out. And if I'm working, whether from home or from the office or from a coffee shop, I'm sitting down for hours at a time. I know some people do stuff like the Pomodoro technique and whatnot, so they take intermittent breaks, and that's great. I don't really do that. It never really stuck with me. And so doing something like that, having a pedometer that tracks my steps, really helped. And another thing I did, and I kind of took it a bit further, is I entered a race, which was a lot of fun because I had to do training for the race because I wasn't sure how far I could run. And in fact, I entered a 10K. But since then, I've entered, 5Ks and 3Ks and stuff like that. That way I can be sure that I maintain a certain amount of cardio and a certain amount of exercise. And it gives me the motivation because I know if I already paid for the race, then I need to exercise for it because I don't want to waste that money. The things you can do is you can find a group of friends that enjoy hiking, enjoy playing tennis or whatever type of sports, stuff like that. And as long as you can get something going with them and something semi-regular, then at least you're guaranteed some form of exercise semi-regularly. And like I said, in the long term, it really does wonders. So I really do recommend trying to do something like that. So the next thing I want to talk about is nutrition, because once again, we're stuck here all day. If I'm stuck at home, I know I have a bunch of snacks over there that I'm going to eat. If I'm in the office, I know there are a bunch of snacks in the common area that I'm going to eat. If I'm in a coffee shop, there are a bunch of pastries that I'm going to eat. If I don't stop myself, I'll just keep munching and munching and munching all day long. So how do I deal with it? First of all, at home, I try to keep a lot of fruit and other things available. We do have some, junk food, stuff like that, but I try to keep it to a minimum and I try to keep it difficult to access. But I try to keep the fruit really handy. And so that way, if I do want to munch on something, I'll pick up an apple, I'll pick up a banana, I'll pick up a pear, I'll pick up, whatever it is. And that way I can munch on stuff all day, but it won't be junk food. And likewise, if I go to a coffee shop, as a general rule, I always skip the pastry. There are a couple exceptions, like if I'm craving a pastry ahead of time, like, the day or a couple days before, I'm like, oh, I really like that pastry from that one place, I can make an exception. But I really try not to do the thing where I show up there and be like, oh, that looks good, I'll get one of those. If I haven't planned for it ahead of time, I don't get the pastry. My coffees are pretty much just coffee, espresso, and cappuccino. And that's pretty much it. I don't think it needs to be a complicated thing, but I do think the important thing is that you find something that you can maintain. Even if it's minimal, find something you can maintain over time. And so that's why I say it's important. Find something you can enter in your schedule, something you can do with your friends, something you can maintain. Because, even a really crummy routine that you maintain is way better than the best routine in the world that you can only keep for 1 week or so. And you can always build off of it and have it become more intense over time. But start off very lightly, very slowly, very easily with something that you feel you can maintain over time. If you're still younger and you're not having issues, then this is a perfect time to get ahead of the curve. While we're talking about health, there's one more thing I wanted to mention, and actually here I'm wearing my normal glasses, so it's not a good example. Because for our daughter, we got her these, they have these things for kids now, these anti-blue light glasses. And so then I ended up getting some for my wife and for myself as well. And so usually when I'm in front of the computer or in front of any screen, I try to wear these. I highly recommend looking into them. I can leave a link to the ones that I found in the description below. I just got them off Amazon. I think it was 2 pairs for like 20 bucks or something. They're not that expensive, and I think it'll be very good for your eyes. In fact, I probably should have gotten these like a decade ago. It also helps out, obviously, to take a break from the screen every now and then. And unfortunately, when people take a break from a computer screen, they go to their phone screen or stuff like that. So try to take a break from any screen if you can. Read a book, look around and stuff like, and anything else that doesn't involve a screen. But since you will be staring at a screen, presumably for a long period of time and a long percentage of your life, I think getting glasses like these can really help. And if you have other things that you like to maintain or you like to do for your physical health, feel free to let me know. I think when it comes to physical health, if you're not having problems, then it's the perfect time to get ahead of the curve. So you won't have problems. When you're having problems, it's kind of a bit too late and you need to play catch up, right? And so really try to take this seriously before it becomes a problem. Otherwise, that's about it for now, and I'll talk to you next time. Okay, thanks, bye. Savedum.